Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to walk through how to handle bolting in your garden. Bolting happens for a variety of reasons, whether it's like too hot outside or some of your plants have experienced a drought condition or they're just reaching the end of life. And some of those plants will flower and create seeds, and then those seeds you can use for a variety of things. For example, you could harvest those seeds and plant them again later. You could let the seeds naturally fall off those bolting plants and reseed themselves naturally. You could leave the bolting plants there on purpose for the pollinator benefits. And you could also pull the plant and start again with another plant. And what I'm trying to master in my own garden is figuring out what I want to do about the bolting on each particular plant. So I'm going to walk you through my garden today. I think I've got arugula bolting, spinach bolting, marigolds. Well, marigolds drying up and they're not bolting, they're just drying up and ready for seed harvesting. Same with borage. I've got cilantro that's bolted, and I've got dill that's flowering. So some of those I'm going to leave there on purpose in hopes that I can improve some of the pollinator attraction benefits in my garden. Some of them I want to go ahead and harvest the seeds, and some of them I think I'm just going to pull because I don't remember what variety I planted or whether it's an open pollinated or heirloom seed. So let me walk you through the garden. I'll show you those examples and talk you through why I chose which option for each plant. So right here I have two spinach plants, one right here and one right here, and this one is bolting. And if you touch it, you can, oh my gosh, you can just see all of the pollen falling off into my hands. I don't know if you can see it that well. But what I'm gonna do is just leave this and let it flower, let it attract those pollinators to help benefit any of the other flowering plants I have in the garden. And it's such a small space in my garden, I'm not really worried about this portion of my garden not having something out of it that I can eat. Right here I have a couple plants of arugula that are flowering, and what I plan to do with this one is let it flower and let it die, and I'll pull the plant and plant with a new variety of arugula. I'm choosing to do that because I've done a little bit more research about arugula, and it turns out the first time I did it, I didn't choose the right variety for my area. I'm in Central Florida. I forget what variety this is, but I'm going to start again with the right variety, or with my preferred variety. They'll both work, but with my preferred variety after this plant dies. In the meantime, the flowers should help bring the bees in to pollinate my nearby tomato plants. Over here I have a few basil plants that are bolting. You can tell because the leaves are really close together and they're growing really rapidly right through the center. And I think this is happening because basil is tough to grow in my climate. I'm in Central Florida. Today's March 14th and it's already like 86 degrees outside in the blazing sun. And so I think that even if I were to start another basil plant, I'm gonna have a hard time with it reaching maturity and staying healthy in my garden for much longer. So I think what I'm going to do instead is probably set up an herb garden inside and choose to grow my basil inside. In the meantime, I'm going to let this go to flower, see if I can harvest some seeds, and see if I can get some pollination benefits for my nearby tomato plants. So back here, I've got several cilantro plants that have bolted and gone to flower. You can even see some bees hovering around. And so I can tell that leaving them here is going to bring some pollination benefits to my garden, especially with a nearby shishito pepper plant and eggplant that are both flowering plants. Cilantro seems to be acting very similar to basil. I think it's bolting a lot because of the heat. Cilantro doesn't really like temperatures much over the 70s, and it's already 86 degrees out here today. So I'm probably going to leave it there, let it flower, and let the bees pollinate my peppers and my eggplants, and once it dies, I'm going to pull those plants and replace it with something else. In the meantime, my family loves to eat cilantro, so I'm going to put cilantro in an herb garden indoors. Right here's another example of a flowering cilantro plant, and unfortunately a lot of the leaves kind of lose their flavor once the cilantro reaches this point. But it still looks pretty cool. I'm gonna let these ones go to seed and see if I can practice harvesting the seeds. cilantro is one of those unique plants where the seed itself is actually something to be sought after as well. It's a coriander seed if you use any coriander in your cooking. So in this particular plant, I may try to harvest it, wait till the seed pods turn brown and dry up, and then harvest those myself. Over here I have a dill plant that's flowering. Dill actually does really well for attracting pollinators when it flowers, and it actually, you can touch it and see all the pollen coming off on your hand, so you know it's a good pollinator plant. I probably planted more dill than I need, so whenever this dies, I'm just going to pull the plant and maybe not have quite so many dill plants. I think I have I think I have 3 or 4 right here, and I have more in a raised bed over there, and really I just don't use quite that much dill. So I'm going to let it die and then let myself replace it with something that I'm going to use a little bit more of. Right here I have a marigold plant, and some of the flowers have dried up, and I can actually just pick out seeds and harvest the seeds right now. Seed harvesting is something that I'm looking to learn this year, and harvesting marigold seeds is really just good practice for me to learn how to harvest the seeds, and then I can go and put them in my front yard and see if I can grow some marigolds out front, or I can replace one of those dill plants with marigolds by just using some of these seeds. I hope those examples can help you figure out what you want to do with your bolting plants in the garden. I feel like this time of year when it starts to get super hot and my plants all bolt and flower, I kind of feel a little bit defeated. But I think part of what we need to master as gardeners is being efficient with the space in the garden, and kind of you can predict maybe when you're going to get some bolting because of the temperatures for certain plants, and be ready to backfill with another plant. For me, I'm going to replace the basil with something that I think can withstand my summer, my super hot summer where I probably can't grow much. It might be a summer cover crop, or I might try to just make use of my raised bed by putting some sweet potatoes in there, since they do really well in the heat, or even okra. If I do any herbs this summer, it's probably going to be perennial herbs. So like I'm looking at rosemary or thyme or maybe even oregano, but something that's light and leafy like basil, cilantro, and parsley. I know they're just going to bolt and they're going to die during the summer, and so I want to figure out a way to grow those during the right season and hold on to that harvest and make it last during the seasons where I can't really grow it, or figure out how to grow that indoors. I could potentially harvest the seeds from my bolting herbs right now and plant those inside, although I feel like I may just harvest them and hold on to those seeds, because ideally I should already have my herb garden seeds going so that I can have this continuous harvest of cilantro and parsley and basil, these herbs that my family uses a lot in our cooking. If you guys have any other ideas about how to make use of your garden space during these high heat times in Central Florida, let me know, or wherever you are, if you have moments in your garden where the temperatures get a little too hot for certain crops, let me know how you handle it, and maybe together we can figure out a way to make use of that garden space. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.